African Descent Ontario. Oh, yeah.
African Descent Ontario is more than just an organization. It's a movement powered by culture, justice, and unity. Founded in 2021, ADSON has grown into a dynamic force for recognition, development, and change.
Africans have been part of Canadian history. We are. But also, he reminded us that there are systems of oppression for 500 years. A single day of 5 hours may not really break it down. In the whole of Atlantic Canada, only one city, which is Halifax, had passed the International Decade of People of African Descent. I told them, PEI, we can't do better. Guess what? I got to my local mayor, very small town of like 3,000 people, and they never heard about that. I'm almost the only black person in church. They see a black couple, me and my wife, at the groceries. They even look at you. And so I was fairly known. I told the mayor, we need this small town to be the first across PEI to pass the International Decade of African Descent.
You watching Broncos Media? Yes, that is Mr. Olombia. You have just had your morning session done.
Yes.
How do you rate the conference so far, since morning to where we are now?
The African Descent Ontario Summit 2025 has been lots of empowering information, including questions from the audience. I feel that there is a lot that hasn't even been talked about because of time. The most important thing is that many different discussions have been captured. I really thank everyone who has showed up, but also watching after this session, and will promote this beyond only watching for entertainment. I believe, in the words of Nelson Mandela, education is the only tool that we can use to change the world. If you continuously educate yourself, just like at the African Descent Ontario Summit 2025, then our communities, our countries, and continents are going to be better.
Yes, that is Mr. Olombia, one of the senior moderators who has been in charge of moderating the first session. He is going to host one of the panelists that has discussed education, which is key in this entire discussion, connecting China to Africa, especially in South Africa, whom he is going to interview. You watching Broncos Media?
Thank you very much. I'm so delighted to have a very wonderful individual who is doing amazing things. She's based here in Canada, but doing important work in South Africa. My name is Henry Luyombia, here at the African Descent Ontario Summit. I'm also the Executive Director for New African Canadians. And we just had a very wonderful session. If you don't mind, as one of the speakers and panelists, tell us who you are and what passion projects you're working on.
Okay, hello. I'm Julia. I'm going into grade 12 next year. I'm at a high school. It's called University of Toronto Schools. And so I'm working on a project where I'm trying to build a library in a high school in South Africa. And this project means that we're trying to ship 5,000 books, menstrual supplies, textbooks, stationery supplies, and clothing over there for students at Nambusu Secondary School in Durban, South Africa. And this project will help 1,600 students who are unprivileged students, who don't have money, who often struggle to have food on the table, for them to be able to hold a book and read it and pick up one in the classroom and be able to do all of those things that every kid should be able to do.
For someone watching who is not in South Africa or even Southern Africa or Eastern Africa or on the continent of Africa, but they're outside, someone will ask, why South Africa?
You go out and
South Africa, because when I went to a debating competition and I'm in South Africa and I saw the conditions that people were living in there, I got in contact with a school that I visited there that didn't have books, that would pass 2 or 3 textbooks for 30 plus students in the classroom. And when I asked the principal, I said, how do these kids read at home? How do they, how do they discuss with their classmates about books if they only have 2 books for the entire classroom? And the principal said they can't. And so I saw that there was a real need for books in South Africa. And I think why everyone in Africa, whether you are East Africa, North Africa, anyone, we are all people, right? And so we should all care for each other. We all deserve the basic need for education, and we all need someone to support us and make sure and fund us when we need help. And so everyone, no matter where you are in Africa, no matter where you are in the world, you should care about this and care about the South African children there.
So you are talking about the humanity part of it,
Yes.
where in South Africa and most of Africa, it's called the Ubuntu philosophy, that we are one people. And it reminds me of a time when I was chatting with Nelson Mandela in his home in Johannesburg. And he said, Henry, I did not work alone.
Yes.
I worked with courageous young men and women during the movement against apartheid. So for you as Julia, a 17-year-old, what message do you have for other people out there?
The message I have is I think we need to understand that we live in a place of such privilege, and we have so much that we have everything that some people can only dream of. And when we think about it that way, we have problems that we need to solve. We have things that don't go right, but we have so much already. And where we come from, I come from China, and people in rural China also don't have access to basic services. I'm at an event where there are African people, and people who are from Africa in their home country, they don't have access to these services. When we think about the fact that we have to give back to where we came from, that we are people, that we are tied, there are strings connecting us with the people in our home community. I think only that way we can build this better place for all, that where I go, you can get as well. What I have, you can have as well. That we can share this privilege and this right to live and to thrive with education.
Yes.
Yeah, are you 17 years?
I'm 17, yes.
You're discussing the education sector,
Yes,
and you come from China.
yes.
You, in terms of comparison, when you look at the Chinese education system, in terms of the African system, especially South Africa, where you are, what do you think? First of all, how do you compare the two, and what is being done in China that is not being done in Africa to bring the same two systems to level?
That's a very good question. I didn't think about that. I think in China, it's very similar to in Africa. I remember one of the organizers, they said that it takes a village to teach a child. And it's very similar with China. When I go back to China, to my home country in Tianjin, I see that the parents, the aunts, the uncles, everyone is working to help a child. And in China, there's something called the Gaokao, which is this one exam at the end of high school that determines your entire future. So you have to place very well on that exam to be able to do anything, to get into university, to get into jobs. And where I think the difference is between Africa and China is that exam is available to everyone. People in the most rural places of China that live in the mountains, that don't have access to Wi-Fi, they prepare so much. They read textbooks and they take the Gaokao. No matter where they come from, you could be the CEO's child or you could be a shepherd's child, you take the Gaokao. And I think that is where Africa really needs to improve. We need to make it so that everyone, no matter where you come from, no matter your background, no matter how much money you have access to that thing that can change your future. And that's what Africa is lacking.
So for the final thought, what would you ask people watching, and how do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so my question is, do you think that every child should be able to read? And if you say yes, then I hope that you can help me with this project. I'm working with a team of undergraduate students, and our small little team, we're trying to pave the way and trying to expand so that we can help more and more people. You can visit our website at learninglights.org or our Instagram, Facebook at Learning Lights Africa. And if you have any questions or want to volunteer, partner with us, or give us any advice, you can contact us at learninglightsafrica@gmail.com.
Thank you, Julia, for sharing those wonderful words, but also empowering us as a community to do something for humanity. In the end, we are all headed in one direction. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
talking to me and for sharing your thoughts.
Thank you so
I really
much.
hope the movement that you've started can go beyond the people watching or listening. Thank you very much, Julia.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Okay.
African descent